The Star of Bethlehem, Decoded. Part 2, Comet of Catastrophe. Welcome back, family. Today in Part 2, we are going to be discussing Halley's Comet and what I found in the information from Halley's Comet is one of the codes in the heavens that I believe is associated with the Star of Bethlehem, with the wise men, and also with our time today. These codes are being replayed out in the heavens today, and what we want to do is start breaking down this code in part 2, and it's going to take multiple parts for us to discuss all the pieces in play. Otherwise the video would be hours and hours long. So we're just going to break these down in parts and allow each person to just go through at their own pace and get all the information. Now I've had over triple the amount of information pulled up, but because of my computer issues, it will not allow me to have too many of these pages with all the ads and things open. So I just broke it down to the most important information. I'm going to attach these links in the description, and as before, we're just going to pick out the nuggets, and I'm going to leave these links for you to go in and do more research. And the reason that I'm doing this series is because, number one, there's a lot of conjecture about what the Star of Bethlehem is today, still after thousands of years. And number two, I have found a very important code that happened during the time of the birth of Messiah, and that is happening again today, starting in 2017. So let's dig in. We're going to go through each of these research pages and again just dig out the nuggets, and hopefully you'll have the time to go into these links and read the rest of the information so you have the complete understanding as I do. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go here to Wikipedia, and this is the observational history of comets. Comets have been observed by humanity for thousands of years, but only in the past few centuries have they been studied as astronomical phenomena. Before modern times, great comets caused worldwide fear, considered bad omens foreboding disaster and turmoil. And I'll let you go into the rest of the information about what these were. We're going to go ahead and scroll down. And until the 16th century, comets were usually considered bad omens of deaths of kings or noblemen or coming catastrophes. And this goes into all of the things in history that they found, and it has some amazing information on all of the different information that we have from history on the catastrophes that they believe are associated with all of these comets. And there is some great information that you can glean by reading the rest of this information. The most important thing that we are presenting here is that comets were looked at as bad omens. Now we're going to go to another Wikipedia. This one is actually for Halley's Comet, and we're going to look at a couple things that I believe are associated with the signs that we're looking at. So Halley's Comet is the only known short-period comet that is consistently visible to the naked eye from Earth, appearing every 72 to 80 years. Now, I think you all know what that means, and we'll just leave it there. Though, with the majority of recorded apparitions, 25 to 30 occurring after 75 to 77 years. Its last appearance in the inner solar system in 1986 and will next appear in mid-2061. So, the reason for this information here is, number one, the essentially 70 to 80 years, and we know what that's associated with. And then we know that the comet is not going to be viewed in our lifetime from the last 1986 appearance. But we can look back in history and find some very, very, very important information that is connected with this comet. So let's scroll down, and I found some very interesting information here. Give me 1 second. I have to find. Here we go. Okay. The apparition of 12 BC was recorded in the Book of Han by Chinese astronomers of the Han Dynasty, who tracked it from August through October. It passed within 0.16 AU of Earth. According to the Roman historian Cassius Dio, a comet appeared suspended over Rome for several days, portending the death of Marcus Agrippa in that year. Halley's appearance in 12 BC, only a few years distant from the conventional assigned date of the birth of Jesus Christ, has led some theologians and astronomers to suggest that it might explain the biblical story of the Star of Bethlehem. There are other explanations for the phenomenon, such as planetary conjunctions, and there are also records of other comets that appeared closer to the date of Jesus' birth. In Yehoshua ben Hananiah's reference to a star which arises once in 70 years and misleads the sailors, refers to Halley's Comet. He can only have witnessed the 66 AD appearance. Another possible report comes from the Jewish historian Josephus, who wrote that in 66 AD the signs were so evident and did so plainly foretell their future desolation. There was a star resembling a sword which stood over the city, and a comet that continued a whole year. This portent was in reference to the city of Jerusalem and the First Jewish-Roman War. So what I found is that from 66 AD until the temple destruction is 4 years. From 11 BC, when this comet sign ended, to 7 BC, when the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction began, is 4 years. And so I started receiving all of these 4-year codes, and I wanted to dig deeper and see if there was more information associated with this 4-year code. I think that was it for this story. Yes, this goes into all of the different times when the comet was uh, noticed in history. It's very important to really grasp what Halley's Comet has done in history if you really want to dig into this study. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the path. This is Halley's Comet in 12 BC. It's the path of Halley's Comet in the year 12 BC, and I found some very interesting things that I wanted to point out. These are just little nuggets that we can use to decipher the star codes, because as we know, we have been seeing in our time these comets that are uh, making a very specific path through very specific constellations. And we know that in 2017 we saw the planet Jupiter transition through the womb of Virgo, and now we are seeing other signs in the NAZZARETH that are showing us a marriage and a birth. And so I wanted to take a look at the path of this comet during that time and see if there was an association with the signs. So the first thing that we see is that the path of the comet, it begins its time in Gemini, and it goes from Gemini into Cancer, and through the top of the Leo constellation, as if it was marking the size in Leo, and it goes directly into through a very interesting group of stars. And what I saw next was very, very, very important to the entire storyline. First, we see that that its next transition is through the Coma constellation, and we just talked about how the supernova in Coma was part of the beginning signs of what led the wise men to begin their star research with the codes that Daniel passed down. And so here again, we see a point of reference. We have the Coma supernova, and now in 12 BC we have the comet coming through, and it goes directly through the Coma constellation. It also goes directly through Buddhists and directly through the star Arcturus. Now we're going to do a breakdown on these stars later, but I just want to bring this information out because this is powerful, powerful information that is directly tied to all of these signs. The comet also goes directly across the neck of the serpent's constellation, as if to show the snake being beheaded. And so all of these were very, very powerful signs to me in the heavens of more signs connected with this exact storyline. So we see here that this comet between 72 and 80 years, which we know what the 80 years represents, that this comet essentially has its orbit, and it keeps showing us this 80-year cycle. Now they do say that it depending on the appearance, from what I have read, of Jupiter and Saturn, that it causes perturbations in the actual timing of this. They say it typically is 75 to 77 years. It could be as low as 72 years, and it could be up to 80 years. And I believe that this timing that we see here is a direct reference to the timing that we're in today. So, what I wanted to do is I wanted to look into the codes a little bit and see if I could find some associating codes that gave me information on what I was looking at. So I looked up Comet Halleys in Gematria, and I found some very, very interesting things. So the first thing that I found was Comet Halleys in simple is 119. So I looked up Strong's 119, and its definition is athlesis, and its definition is contest, struggle, or conflict. And that matched exactly what we were looking at with this sign in the heavens, because comets were looked at as a bad omen. And so the next thing that I did is I went and I looked into the actual codes to see if I could get some more information to glean more detail. And we have Comet Halley equals persecution. Comet Halley equals Nazareth. Comet Halley equals Milky Way. Blink of an eye. Tribe of Judah. The Essenes. Redemption. Cyber pandemic. The King is back. Star Wars. It equals AMPHITRITE. And if you've been following me for a while, then you know that one of the codes for AMPHITRITE is Mary Magdalene. And sure enough, Comet Halleys also equals Mary Magdalene. So we see that comets are considered a struggle or a conflict or a contest. And I saw that in 11 BC to 7 BC, when we have the Jupiter-Saturn grand conjunction, was 4 years. and again I saw in 66 AD when the comet came back, but that was 4 years before the destruction of the temple. Now, all of this happened because of astronomer Edmund Halley in the 18th century. And I found that the first time that the comet was noticed was September 9th of 12 BC. And that is a match for the Revelation 12 sign of Jupiter exiting the womb of Virgo in 2017. Then, as most of you know, 3 years later, we had the Revelation 12 sign. Or I'm sorry, 3 years before that, we had the Revelation 12 sign. So in 2017, we have the Revelation 12 sign. 3 years later, we have the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in 2020. Now we're looking at a 4-year code, and that code leads us to 2024. So the date that we're looking at for the 2020 grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn is December the 21st. You can go back and you can pull up the information, and you'll find that the grand conjunction of 2020 was on December 21st. And this is all connected to this code of 4 years, and we are breaking all of this down. The coma supernova that we presented to you in part 1, they believe caused a heavenly light that lasted over 250 years. And that heavenly light made all of the signs in the heaven far more bright and brilliant. The comets would have stood out more, and the planets would have stood out more. And if there was no moon in the picture, it would have been very stunning at that time. And so all of these things are connected because they are repeating themselves in our time. I believe that this 4-year code is about to come to fruition on December the 21st. We all know what that day is, and it is days before the Christmas holiday, and I believe that we are witnessing very, very important signs in the heavens, and the comet in 11 BC and 66 AD already gave us some very important signs, and in our time today, we know that we have been watching multiple comets give us more signs. I have presented multiple comets going through multiple different constellations and the signs that are associated. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that there have been literally, just in the last couple weeks, there's just literally hundreds of signs that are happening. And it's important for us to look up and to keep watching for the signs. In the next part, we are going to be breaking down the grand conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn beginning in 7 BC and ending in 6 BC. And again, these codes are all presenting a 4-year star code. And so we are going to continue to present this heavenly code. We will be back very soon with part 3. Thanks for coming, family. Much love, and keep looking up.